Detroit Koolaid, Detroit Koolaid drinkers. What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Derek Oakrey. You guys know what it is. Serving up that delicious Honolulu blue flavored Kool-Aid.
Drink it in,
Side of cornbread.
Cornbread.
Make it a double.
Cornbread.
And this is a special show. I mean, this is a guy that used to come on the show. He's probably thinks that I've evolved or gotten better, but really we still just laugh. We talk football. I hype up with the Lions. I kind of beat up on other teams, and we just have a ton of fun. But man, this guy is back, and man, is he doing big things. This is the host of Sports Talk Chicago, doing some things with Beyond the Big Ten, a host, producer. I mean, he's got the number one pick in his back pocket. He's got a quarterback finally. His team is on Hard Knocks. He's got, quote, weapons on his team now. He's got hope, excitement, etc., etc. I mean, his team's probably the most hyped team in the league, like the Lions were last year before the Lions cashed in on that hope and are now Super Bowl champs. We're going to talk about all that. Detroit versus Chicago, Lions versus Bears. So much to get into. It's the one and only Joey Christopoulos, at Joey Sports Guy on Twitter /X. Joey, you're back. You're here. Let's do this.
Derek, man, so excited to be back on with you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's funny. Look, I've been coming on your show, I feel like. We're coming up, I think, maybe 3 years, something along those lines. And, man, to see where both of our teams are all grown up and hopefully ready to actually do something substantial and interesting in the NFL that doesn't just relegate us to the NFC North is so exciting. And I'm excited to be here to talk about it with you. I was on a Packers show last week, and they dubbed the Chicago Bears they dubbed the Chicago Bears the off-season champions of the off-season for the third year running, which was a clear dig. But I got my belt here. I got my off-season champion trophy belt here. I'm ready to rock and roll. Good to be with you.
There you go. I mean, it's incredible. We're gonna dive right into it because the Detroit Lions, we've been off-season champs for years and years. I mean, lots of hype, lots of best draft, lots of look out for the Lions, and it never came through until Brad, always open for business, and Dan freaking Campbell took over and got this thing turned around in the right direction. So we're going to hit on some great topics today. Again, go check out what Joey's up to on those networks. He'll tell you some more about it here in a bit. But Joey, that's where I wanted to go first, man. I feel like when you came on, when we first met a few years ago, I was trying to hype up the Lions. I didn't realize that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia were absolute bums and didn't know what they were doing. You were kind of giving me credit, thinking this team might be on the rise. It took a little bit longer, but then they got it rolling and got a lot of hype, got some players, got some offense, got a quarterback in a trade that me or you both were TBD if you ask me, but we'll see. But he's played incredible. And I just want to kick it to you for your Bears because that Packer host, as well as everybody on the different media outlets, everybody's on your Chicago Bears. I'm hearing lots of hype, rumor, innuendo, just pomp and circumstance about your team. So I feel like you're the Lions from a few years ago, and I want to know from you, are you going to come through with it? Are you going to capitalize on it? How are you feeling about everything?
I feel incredibly lucky is really what it is, Derek. A shout-out to the Carolina Panthers and General Manager Ryan Poles again for making that trade by dealing the number one pick last year, which, by the way, is still not done, is still not a complete finished product yet because we still have their second-round pick next year as the Carolina Panthers plan to be awful for the second year in a row. It's a really exciting time. I do feel a lot of parallels and a lot of similarities to, I agree with you, Derek, what we were talking about with this Lions team about maybe what it was 2.5 years ago. I think what they did in trading Matthew Stafford, not only getting Jared Goff back, but the draft capital that they got back, really positioned them perfectly to build up the infrastructure of the team that you're now beginning to see the fruition of all that come together. Now, to be very fair, I've been on this show before. I was never really a big Jared Goff fan. I think I've said on the show previously before, is he the type of guy that you foresee leading you to a Super Bowl? And if you don't see that, then why is he the quarterback of your future? And look, dude made it to an NFC title game last year. And there were some great opportunities for them to win that game. It just didn't happen. And now I think they're going to be knocking on the door to again this year. So, and you just gave them a whole bunch of money. So, I mean, look, I think with the Detroit Lions, the position that they're in right now is the type of position that I'm hoping the Chicago Bears, I'm envious of. And I'm hoping that the Chicago Bears are in that position, probably not this year, but hopefully beginning a little bit of that window starting next year. And Derek, if that happens, then all of a sudden the NFC North, which for many years maybe took on a couple of jokes here and there, a little derision here and there, we try to defend it to the best of our ability. The NFC North all of a sudden could possibly turn into this powerhouse for the next 3 or 4 years, and it gets really, really interesting and exciting. So I'm happy to be back in the Midwest to witness it all, and I'm very excited for the Chicago Bears, even though I don't have the highest expectation in the world for this season.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff there. I think that you got to be a little bit patient with it. I do think both of us sort of need to admit that, I mean, Jared Goff has been excellent here. Was I a proponent of giving him 50-plus million? I mean, no, but unfortunately I have to say this, which you hear a lot. That's the going rate. That's the market, I suppose. I still don't understand why it goes up X times 10 every year, it feels like. But they did what they had to do. I want to throw this at you, Joey. And again, this is going to hurt you because you just got this guy. You're all excited. But I got some major questions about Caleb Williams as a player, but more so the kind of stuff he does off the field. Is he going to be that leader, that player for your team? I mean, I think that's going to be first and foremost for the Bears. Same with the Packers with Jordan Love. And then we've got my boy J.J. McCarthy over there in Minnesota now. So like you said, I do feel like this division went from Packers and everybody else to Vikes there for a bit. Now the Lions had a hold on it. But I do think it could be really competitive really quickly. But I do still think I need to see your signal caller do it on the field, but more so be that staunch leader and just a guy that everybody follows off the field as well.
Well, for any rookie quarterback, I think it's very fair to ask that question, and I think Caleb has probably gotten more of that question than any other quarterback that we've seen probably in the last few recent years. There's a couple things that go into that a little bit, and look, all I'm just going to speak on is what I've seen on June 11th here, 2024, before the season started. You know, I just finished doing a show with former Bears defensive end and honestly former Lions defensive end Corey Wooten, who had some very positive things to say about the Detroit Lions. But we were just talking a little bit about Caleb off the field, and there's a part of it that we do have to understand that the NFL does view personality sometimes in a very narrow, cookie cutter, tunnel vision type of way. And if anyone strays outside of that, it can easily turn into this personality trait issue that maybe the normal person like me or you wouldn't think twice about, but maybe in the NFL they would think about because he is a little bit different. And I think that's how the narrative began a little bit with Caleb Williams. Now, here's what I will just say, because I know Lions fans listening to this right now probably aren't familiar with the news, but Caleb Williams off the field has actually been amazing. He's actually been pretty incredible. Let's just start here. Obviously, after he got drafted, he started doing the Bear Claw, which is a bit of a signifier, a rallying cry for Chicago Bears fans to wrap their heads around it. He's been going around, hanging out with the players day in and day out. DJ Moore recently had a one-day camp for junior high and high school students, a football camp up in Deerfield that he holds privately on his own time as kind of a give back to the community. Caleb Williams showed up to that unannounced. There was no press there. The only reason why we found out about it is because someone's father who kind of works in the business saw it and took a snapshot of him. He's doing things around the community and around his teammates to show that he cares. The most recent one, the one most recent was he went throughout the first pitch with the Chicago Cubs. There was a rain delay, so he went bar crawling, basically not drinking, but to each and different bar just to say hello to fans, have them chant his name, have a great time. He's really trying to embrace the role of being the one to break the curse of the Chicago quarterback. And then the last one that I just thought says a lot. Again, this is all fan interaction, but this does kind of mean something to me. Is that I don't know if you saw, but yesterday or over the weekend, this guy named Connor Burns started this viral Twitter thing. He tweeted out that he had ordered a jersey of Caleb Williams on the night of the draft off of Fanatics. He hadn't received the jersey yet and recently received a message saying that he actually wasn't going to get his Caleb Williams jersey until September 27th, 2024. Well, it went online, went through Twitter, caught a little traction. Caleb Williams found out about it, released a video today saying that not only was he going to make sure that Connor Burns was one of the first people to receive a jersey once they start printing more, but also invited him to a game next season on Caleb's account to come on out and try and do a make good on the whole situation. So, look, some people can say this is kind of fluff or BS. He doesn't have to do this. I grew up with Jay Cutler, so I know that there are certain quarterbacks that definitely do not have to do this. But in terms of the off-the-field stuff, I think he's checked every single box so far. And look, it's June. There's a lot to happen. Who knows what happens when he has success? Who knows what happens when he has failure? A lot of that can test the mettle of a person, man, woman, or child. So we'll see what happens. But right now, in terms of the summer, off the field, Caleb Williams, in my opinion, is acing the test. Like A++. I think he's doing great.
Why did I think that would kind of be the answer, along with a lot of back support that I thought you would provide, which you did, which is excellent. I just think that we'll see how him and these Southern California people play on that slip and slide we call a field out there in Chicago. But, like you say, very talented.
Chicago Park
to see if it all comes together. But back to kind of like the mirror images. So the Lions are like PFF's most complete or best roster. We've got a top O-line, top running backs. We resigned our top guys. We've got much improved cornerbacks, solid linebackers finally. We got this guy hashtag JMO Fast who's about ready to blow up and be in the NFL. And we've got my boy, Brian Branch. Like, that's just to name a few things. So I'll go ahead and give you a second to just run down what the Bears have currently, what you are putting your hopes on, because I feel like, you've got some of those things, some you're hoping for, and some are, like you said, are still going to maybe take a little time to get in place. And I'm still wondering about your O-line and your D-line, because we all know it starts in the trenches. So give us the rundown of what the Bears have that the Lions, or what the Lions have that the Bears either have or want to have in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be fully transparent. Just, again, finishing a show with Corey Wooten. Corey Wooten has the Detroit Lions number 2 in the NFC, slightly behind the San Francisco 49ers, and he absolutely thinks that they're loaded. And I trust his opinion very deeply. We can go back and forth on it. Again, the Lions and your secondary, it's a bit of a prove it to me, because every offseason I sort of hear the same thing. We got it fixed. We figured it out. And every single year you're going out there, you're trying to figure out some more. In terms of the Chicago Bears, look, only 2 years ago they were, 3-14. There was a lot of holes to plug on this particular roster, and there still are some holes on the roster that are probably going to hold them back from either maybe making a playoff push or becoming actually serious contenders in the NFC North in 2024. But what I do like is clearly we do have an opportunity, and I've seen you banged the drum for this from the time before. Having a rookie on a rookie contract provides you a lot of different flexibility and a lot of different possibilities. I like that a lot. Our probably strength of the team right now is a toss-up between our secondary and our wide receiver room. Our secondary is young, athletic, fast, incredibly deep. I do like the veteran pickup of Kevin Byard from the safety position. I think he's an upgrade over Eddie Jackson. And they do have some pieces that honestly go 4, 5, 6 deep that I like a whole lot. Our linebacking core was instinctive last season. Great tacklers. Were able to take advantage of some turnovers. Look, turnovers can be fickle, but on a year-to-year basis, I would probably consider that to be fairly solid. And then the pass rush is going to be a little bit of an INC. I loved what we saw from Montez Sweat, and they've got a couple of guys that they drafted last year, Jervon Dexter specifically, that need to sort of step up into bigger roles and actually deliver instead of just penciling them in on paper and saying that everything's going to be fine. On the offensive side of the ball, obviously the wide receiver room comes with a lot of pedigree and comes with a lot of potential. We all know what DJ Moore did last year, 95 catches, 1,300-plus yards. The dude can get open in a phone booth. It was absolutely incredible to see. He's shot up the charts of some of my favorite Chicago Bears of the last recent years. And then you go out and you get a guy like Keenan Allen. Now, look, Keenan Allen has to stay healthy. And on the weeks when he's not on the field, he's going to be sorely missed, and it probably will be at a great disadvantage of the Chicago Bears. But when he is on the field, he's a dude that can get open. He's a great slot receiver. And the part that I like about it the most is even if Keenan Allen is a wash, or even if he doesn't quite produce the way that we want him to, I'm thinking this from a long view perspective of him just being in the room week to week with Rome Odunze, the guy that we took number 9th overall, a guy that has the height, the speed, the body control to possibly become a wide receiver 1 in the NFL. I think that that's fantastic. Also, Keenan Allen on the team takes the heat off of Rome Odunze, so he doesn't maybe necessarily have to produce right away, where I know some of that pressure was kind of placed on Jamison Williams, in my opinion, a little unfairly due to injury, due to something else. But whatever. I think you got to sometimes let these wide receivers grow into their roles a little bit. So Rome Odunze is going to be able to kind of take a back seat just a little bit for one season, not have all the pressure on him, and could possibly learn the NFL game at a level that allow him to really ascend the year after that. I like our tight end room a lot. Gerald Everett, a guy from Shane Waldron's system, very familiar with him. Cole Kmet coming off a career year. I'm not saying Cole Kmet is a Sam Laporta type. I love Sam Laporta. What an interesting offensive X factor that you guys have. But Cole Kmet can make some plays, and I think he is in the top half of tight ends in the NFL. The big question is going to be the defensive line with the Chicago Bears, and also I'm not 1,000% sold on their offensive line this season either. Of all the hallmarks and all the similarities that the Bears and Lions have had as the Lions have ascended to the spot that they're at and where the Bears are trying to ascend to, the only major difference is the Lions invested so deeply into their offensive line year after year after year after year, where the Chicago Bears have done it a little bit, but not quite enough to my liking. And I think the offensive line could be something that holds not just the offense back, the quarterback back, but the Chicago Bears back in 2024. So there's a lot of units that I have a lot of optimism about, and some of them that could definitely be red flags that may hold this team back next year.
All great stuff there. I was going to say, like, kind of when we're talking about these mirror images or like us being a couple years ahead of you, I'm interested to see what Rome Odunze does. I love the player, but you take that pick, which I view as more of that luxury weapon type pick, instead of kind of investing in trenches or, defensive studs, things like that. I think that the NFL does that a lot, but I do feel like if you're prudent, you kind of say, let me get a big body either on the O-line or the D-line, and then I'll fill in my skill guys when the time is right or later or whatever it may be. So I'm curious to see how that all works out. And the other funny part is
Derek,
so you had David
real
Montgomery.
quick. Did you like the Jahmyr Gibbs pick at the time? I'm just asking because, that Jahmyr Gibbs pick surprised me. It worked out great last season, and I'm kind of curious to see, does it have that staying power? Were you on board with it the moment that happened, or were you hoping for something else?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's crazy we haven't really chatted much since then, other via text messages and whatnot. I was pretty upset because I'm a positional value guy, so I said, why? And then I said, I love Jahmyr Gibbs as a player, but, at 12, and then, now the running gimmick on the show is that he's not Jahmyr Gibbs, he's a multi-dimensional, positionless, wait for it, elite weapon. That's how we refer to him. That's his government name here on the show. But no, now Allie loves him. Everybody's talking about he's the best back in the league. Detroit can never say a bad thing. We never question Brad Holmes. All that good stuff. So it might be the same with Rome Odunze. I'm just saying, like, we kind of already had meat and potatoes, so we also got away with that pick a little bit more than if we'd take Jahmyr Gibbs 3 years earlier when we had a bunch of turnstiles at the offensive line. So
yeah, look, I think. Just watching him hit the edge last year, the speed is real. That speed is elite. I personally, at the time of the pick, I was shocked that they took Jahmyr Gibbs, and then I watched him on the field, and then I said, oh, yeah, that makes sense. The only thing about it is, let's see how these picks go 3-4 years down the line. Before we just crown it as some sort of like amazing achievement by an organization. And I think Rome Odunze, I think that's also a fair thing. We just went through it recently where we traded back. We had a shot at Jalen Carter. We traded back for a 4th-round pick the following year with the Eagles, and then they took Jalen Carter, and we ended up settling for Darnell Wright. Now, I don't know if it was settling or not because I like Darnell Wright a lot as a player. They kept it in the trenches. The interesting about that trade was that 4th-round pick then turned into Keenan Allen a year later. So it is a little bit different how these things can happen in the moment. It's just curious to see how they play out over time. So right now, the Gibbs pick looks great. Right now, the Odunze picks looks great. So, I mean, only time will tell, right?
Exactly, and very fun to watch from a fan. It's just from a team building perspective. You got to sort of see how it pans out long term. But Joey, let me ask you this. I want to give you some time to tell more about what you're up to. We'll get our great sponsors in here. The last thing I wanted to joke about with Mirror Images is, like, you guys used to have David Montgomery, and I kind of said, David Montgomery, he's all right. Then he puts on a Lions uniform I absolutely love, Demo. And for like 3 years ago, you kind of were like all in the DeAndre Swift camp. I was, saying get him the football. Then they got him the football. He's made a paper mache. He goes to Philly, does some nice things. But he's still hurt all the time, and now he's in a Chicago Bears uniform. So, again, I feel like we're kind of going in odd yet similar circles with these players, our teams, things like that. So lots of funny things going on with Detroit, Chicago, yet we still have the superior pizza. Go ahead.
Well, to be very fair, yeah, I mean, I live in a lot of different cycles right now. First off, my wife is from Pittsburgh. So that means that I've been giving her my hand-me-down quarterbacks for the last 3 years, which is hilarious. And she also absolutely adores and loves Detroit-style pizza. So I'm not gonna get into that war of words there. She absolutely loves it. Look, I mean, I think I was pretty clear on David Montgomery that he is a really solid, hard-nosed, tough football player. You guys brought him in, and I think the compliment to Gibbs is really what makes that 1-2 punch really work. And obviously you saw with the touchdown count this past year that when the dude, gets him within the 5-yard line, he's a great guy to get those last couple of yards to get you into the end zone. When it comes to DeAndre Swift, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Look, it's June right now, so you're probably right. But as it stands right now, I am not really as enthused about picking up DeAndre Swift as maybe others are. Listen, you cautioned me about the injury history. We've talked about it before. Honestly, on Hard Knocks, they kind of gave him a hard time about being tougher at times. And I feel like that moniker kind of stuck with him a little bit. And look, when he's on the field, and we've seen it, Bears-Lions, we've seen it. The dude can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can make some plays. I don't know if he's necessarily a home run type threat. And I'm just kind of curious to see how they decide to deploy him and our backups, Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert, at these different times. I don't personally see DeAndre Swift being a 15-carry guy. I think he's probably more in the 8 to 12 carry area. And the part that I'm just worried about is on those weeks when he does have a soft tissue problem. He's a walking questionable all week long, and then we don't have him for Sunday football on a team that kind of needs everything that you can to set up a rookie quarterback for success. Not having your starting running back out there on a consistent basis can really create issues and problems for a rookie quarterback when people are watching these games and all of a sudden they're pointing the finger at the quarterback when maybe there's some other things that are going on that aren't necessarily, his fault. So, look, man, I'm with you, man. As soon as he throws that Bears uniform on and he gets a first down or throws up the first down hand or scores a touchdown, I'll be rooting for him. But I'm pretty skeptical about the DeAndre Swift signing, to be honest with you. I thought they gave him way too much money. They gave him a little bit less than they gave David Montgomery. We should have just given David Montgomery that money. Look what he did last year for the Lions. So I'm a little on the fence.
Oh, man. Joey, hit us up with a couple more things that you're into, or if you want to throw it out there, then we'll get these great sponsors that keep the show going, and we'll come back, talk. I got a few more questions for you, talk a little NFC roundup, and then we'll get up out of here, because I know you are a busy man, so thank you for the time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to do, some shout-outs. So some news and notes. Obviously, people have heard me on different platforms before, I am actually now the new face and voice of Sports Talk Chicago. You can follow us on YouTube if you'd like. Even if you are a Lions fan, I am going to try and do a lot more general NFL, general sports talk, Midwest sports, and I am going to be trying to dial in on the Big Ten too as well. And I don't know, there's this team called the Michigan Wolverines. I guess they're pretty good at football. So you could definitely check me out on Sports Talk Chicago. We also have we're also now airing on 9 different radio affiliates throughout the great state of Illinois, so make sure that you check that out. And then also I'm a producer and host for Beyond the Big Ten. Now, Lions fans, Michiganders, and fellow Detroit sports lovers, this is the one you want to check out. Check us out at Beyond the Big Ten, wherever you find your socials, breaking down college football and college basketball. Hopefully going to return to do that there in the fall, representing them through Evan Turner's media company. So I'm involved with that too as well. And then obviously, the other one, Derek, follow me at Joey Sports Guy on all the socials. Those are my plugs.
So awesome, man. It's been so fun to sort of like randomly meet you back in the day, see all this hard work you're putting in, see all the stuff you're getting, and like the fact that we can still find time to jump on and just talk ball, laugh, and have a little fun is so awesome. So I just appreciate that from you, and all your success is so warranted and so great to see. So everybody, please listen to our great sponsors here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. We'll come back, talk a little more ball with Joey Christopoulos. Everybody, we'll be right back.